today I'm going to be explaining what these regulating points are of the 8 extraordinary vessels. So when I've been talking about the 8 extraordinary vessels of Chinese medicine, I've often referred to what are called the regulating points. And quite a few people have asked me to explain a bit more about them, because sometimes they're actually on the pathway of a vessel, and other times they're not. Although even that I've changed my mind on, and I think that for me they do indicate the pathway. But they're always points that are either near the hand, on the hand at the wrist, or in the feet around the ankle. And they are points which are said to be a way that just working that one point, you can help to balance the energy within the whole of the vessel. So I'm going to go through each vessel, the yin and the yang pairs of each vessel, and just go through what their regulating points are. But before I get into that detail, I just want to say that I think it's really fascinating that in acupuncture, most of the most powerful points, regardless of whether it's related to the extraordinary vessels or not, are either in the hands or in the feet. And when we go back and look at our development in the womb, we know that we develop from our midline, the bilaminar disc, at 2 weeks, from which all structures will form. This is 2 weeks after conception. But about 5 weeks after conception, already we're starting to develop what are called our limb buds. And our limb buds are actually going to develop first into our hand. That's about 5 weeks, the upper limb buds. And a week later, our lower limb buds, our feet, which will first become our feet, and then they'll develop into our legs. It's easier for me to show the hands, and the hands happen first, because you can actually see that the hands are emerging really from our heart and from our lungs, but from our heart and our lungs, and our hands therefore then carry, as they grow, further away from our body as we develop our arms, and then our hands end up further away. But I don't think it's by hazard that in many cultures, we bring our hands together, we connect back to our heart and to our centre. So there's an energetic connection, but it's actually very physical. Our hands literally develop out of our heart. And the heart is one of the main organs of the extraordinary vessels. The heart is considered by the ancient Chinese as really being the source of our connection to our whole spiritual, psychological being. In some ways, the most important organ, the organ that holds our Shen, which is our expression of our individual expression of who we are. Other organs, like our kidneys, which are important organs for the Chinese, are more about our ancestral connection, about how who we are is informed by our ancestors and our past. And that's the main dynamic in Chinese medicine, how much we can draw upon the wisdom of our ancestors, but create also our own unique pathway in this life. And I talk about that because the feet points very much relate to our kidneys, but also, and so our ancestral energy, but also our reproductive organs, or palaces I like to call them, reproductive palaces, because they're not just about reproduction, they're about our sexuality, about another expression of our creative nature. And so, I can also say that the hands, as well as being more connected to our heart and our lungs, are more in our upper body and are more our connection to space and opening up our heart. And our feet, which come from our kidneys, ancestral energy, and our palaces and our equivalent of base chakra, the more earthy energies, relate to our feet, and our feet is the lower part of our body and more of our connection to earth. so there are 8 extraordinary vessels, and there are 8 regulating points. So each vessel, as I said, has a point either on the hands or near the hands or feet, which regulates the whole vessel. But there are only 8, well, there's a point for each vessel, 8, and the point of one vessel is known as the paired point of another vessel. Because of the 8 extraordinary vessels, there are 4 that are yin and 4 that are yang, and these yin and the yangs are in pairs. So we have 4 yin-yang pairs, and 2 of these pairs are what are called the inner family, so they're more related to our midline, the microcosmic orbit, and 2 of the pairs are more related to our arms and legs, the outer circuit or the macrocosmic orbit. And so in the inner family we have the governing vessel and the conception vessel. They're nice and easy because they're the front and the back midline, and they don't have a pathway in our feet, and their regulating point, as you might imagine, is in our hands, our upper body, because they're much more lighter, they're more about how we draw space into our body, they're more about the energy of, in fact, of conception, bringing everything into our body from space. And so their regulating points relate to our lungs, the breath of life, and also space. Conception vessel is lung 7. Lung 7 is about 1.5 thumb widths from the wrist fold in that line with the thumb, and it's just on the bone, the styloid process, just out of sequence, those of you who know the lung meridian. It's called a lightning point. It's like that bolt of lightning when we're conceived. Lung 7. Conception vessel, it's a yin meridian. And governing vessel is small intestine 3, which is not the base of the little finger, but the next crease fold down on the yang or the outside, and small intestine pairs with the heart meridian, and it's really very linked to heart energy. And the mudra is thumb and little finger, and that's about bringing into space. Now, to have a balance, their paired points are not going to be in the hands, because we always have to have the balance between space or our upper body and earth or our lower body. So the paired points of conception and governing vessel are with a pair of vessels in the outer family, but the pair that connect us more to earth, which are the stepping vessels or the chow. So you might know these chow points, which are the ankle bone, tip of the ankle bone, and you draw a line if you're standing. Just below the edge of the bone of the ankle, there's a little dip. On the inside is kidney 6, and on the outside is bladder 62. Kidney 6 is known as the shining sea. Shining, and the sea, water in the earth. And bladder 62 is known as the hour of the Shen, the heart. So there is a connection with the heart. So these are the paired regulating points of conception and governing vessel, but they're the main regulating points of the stepping vessels, because when we're human we have our spine, we have our midline, but we have to move around. So we need to have legs and feet and connect with the earth. So that's the first set of 4 points. So if we want to work with the conception and governing vessel and more the spacious, we do the mudra like this. Lung and small intestine, opening to space. And for the stepping vessels, we bring the energy down almost to the sole of the foot and open up. So it's much more of an anchoring. So now we'll come to the other pair. So the other pair that's more connected with the space Others in the outer family are the linking vessels. They're like our wings, and their regulating points are a bit like the stepping vessel ones in the feet, opposite each other. This time they're 2 fingers widths from the wrist fold, heart protector, heart, 6 and triple heater 5. These are the main points of the linking vessels. And for me, actually, in most books they'll talk about the linking vessels starting in the feet. For me it makes sense, actually there are wings, they start at our hands. And they need, like the silk net that's also in the ideogram, we need to be anchored to earth because we are human. We're not flying off in space, we hope. And so their paired points are in the feet, connecting us to earth. There, spleen 4. So you feel the inside of your toe, big toe. The base of the toe, that's spleen 3, and then just the head of the first metatarsal, and then slide along. There's another little dip. The base, it's often a bit tender, spleen 4. So earth, spleen is the earth, spleen 4. That's for the yin linking. And then gallbladder 41. Spleen 4 I think is really interesting because it's the paired point and the main regulating point. It's the main regulating point for the penetrating vessel, or the sea of blood. And we often think of it, if you look at my videos on penetrating vessel, the mother earth, bonding, blood, breast milk, so on. But the name of that point is grandfather, grandson, and I think it's quite a reminder that we think of often the sea of blood or the penetrating vessel as being very feminine, very yin, which it is, but we get our bloodline is maternal but also paternal. So grandfather, grandson, there is still that yang quality energy within the very yin vessel, the penetrating vessel. And then the other one is between our, it's a gallbladder point, gallbladder 41, at the base of the 4th toe, and then you follow that along and you come to the tendons between the 4th and the 5th toe. That's often quite a sensitive point, but that's actually gallbladder 42. Cross the tendon, the other side of the tendon, gallbladder 41, the foot governor of tears. So again, fluid, it governs, it's the tears perhaps as we connect to the earth and we are no longer in our heavenly form, but tears, water, fluid, ancestral energy, gallbladder 41. And that's the paired point of the linking vessels, but the main regulating point of the girdle vessel. So the linking vessels need to be anchored to earth through the girdle vessel and through the penetrating vessel. And so their paired regulating points are spleen 4 for the yin and gallbladder 41 for the yang. And those 2 paired points are the main regulating points for the penetrating vessel and for the girdle vessel. And their mudra then is the hands, the linking is heart protector 6 and triple heater 5. So we've got the middle finger is heart protector, the 4th finger relates to the triple heater. But we want to connect them a bit to earth, and this is a spleen connection, lung and spleen. We keep them separate, we hold together, and that's the linking vessels. And for the penetrating and girdle, it's really coming in, the 2 joining together, connecting with the feet. And 4th toe is the gallbladder, and the thumb relates to the big toe, but we draw them in. We could even draw in the index finger and the little finger, especially for girdle vessel, and those are the regulating points for those. So I hope that wasn't too technical for you. You might need to look up some of the points, but to give you a bit of an idea, why have we got these regulating points? How we have the inner family, the outer family, and the relationships between all 8 vessels. You might want to look at other videos I've done on all 8 extraordinary vessels together, and I've also done videos on each pair of vessels. So I have a mudra for all of them, which is gathering the thumb, the index finger, basically all the fingers together, creating a figure of 8. I am connected to all the powers within my body and my infinite potential through all of these 8 infinity regulating points. Thank you for sharing this time with me, and if you do have any questions, anything that's not clear, please let me know. I'm always wanting to be able to explain these things more clearly for you.